And discuss a topic of profound importance: sustainable consumption and lifestyle choices. It is a theme that deeply resonates in our interconnected world, where the choices we have, where we make, are far-reaching. They have far-reaching consequences, not only for us but for the entire planet and future generations. In an era defined by rapid urbanization, technological advancements, and globalizations, it is imperative that we examine our daily choices and their impact on the environment, society, and our personal well being. Our choices in what we buy, how we eat, how we travel, and how we live all contribute to the larger tapestry of sustainability. As we stand at a critical juncture in human history, facing the pressing challenges of climate change, resource depletion, and social inequalities, it is our collective responsibility to reassess our consumption patterns and lifestyles. Each one of us holds the power to affect positive change through our decisions, whether it is choosing eco friendly products, reducing waste, embracing renewable energy sources, or supporting fair trade practices. This is not just a call to action, it's an opportunity for us to reimagine the way we live and interact with our environment. Sustainable consumption is not about deprivation, it's about making thoughtful choices that promote a better quality of life for all and safeguard the Earth's natural resources. Today, at this event, we have the privilege of listening to our experts, thought leaders, and innovators who have dedicated their lives to this cause. They will share their insights, experiences, and practical solutions to inspire us all to adopt more sustainable lifestyles. I invite each of you to engage in meaningful conversations, to question your own habits and choices, and to leave this event with a renewed sense of purpose. Let us seize this opportunity to chart a path towards a more sustainable future for ourselves, our communities, and our planets. I will now request Priyanshi to introduce our first panel. Priyanshi, over to you.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Avantika. So as we move towards our first panel of the day, I introduce the topic, which is role of corporate sustainability in shaping consumer behavior. I am pleased to invite Dr. Pradeep Panigrahi, Head Corporate Sustainability, Larsen and Turbo, Mr. Santosh Jayaram, Global Head Sustainability, HCL Tech, Mr. Sandeep Channa, Chief Sustainability Officer, Tech Mahindra, Ms. Deepa Nagraj, Global Head of Communications and Sparkle Innovation in Ecosystem, Emphasis, Dr. Kalpana Seethipalli, Director of ESG, Asia Pacific at Deutsche Bank, Mr. Rajesh Gupta, Founder and Director, Recycle Karo. I request all of you to switch on your videos and unmute yourself. Calling Ms. Reema Bhaduri, Editorial Lead, BW Business World, who will be moderating the session. Thank you, everybody.
Good morning, everybody. Am I audible to all?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, let's just wait for a second for everyone to come up and then we can start. I'll be Ms. Nagraj.
I think the host has to start the video for me. Okay, done.
Okay, I think we are good to go now. So, okay.
Yes, Reema.
So firstly, good morning. Welcome to World of Sustainability, and a warm welcome to all of you for joining this panel. So, talking about sustainability, we have come to a point where, from a time of global warming, it has come to global boiling. And definitely, corporate is one of the major key ingredients which can actually help save the planet. So, I welcome all of you and for this panel, which is the role of corporate sustainability in shaping consumer behavior. And we can just start off and have a very insightful session and take it forward how we can actually help prevent it. So a very warm welcome to Dr. Pradeep Panigrahi, Santosh Jayaramji, Sandeep Chandaji, Deepa Nagaraj ma'am, Kalpana Sitapali ji, and Mr. Rajesh Gupta. Thank you so much for joining in. So, to begin with, how do you think, let's start with Dr. Kalpana, that how do you think that what is the ethical and environmental responsibilities of businesses in today's world that is required in order to create the world a better space, a better place to live in?
Thank you so much, Rima, and all of you for having us on this panel. A very good morning to you. So the first thing I wanted to share, when we think about ethical and environmental responsibilities of the firm, the first thing to do is, if we can frame the sustainability or ESG concept appropriately in our minds. A lot of people still confuse ESG with CSR. They are very different concepts. CSR has its role to play in life, but CSR, charity, all those are, when you can, you do it. If you can't, then you don't do it. Whereas ESG is absolutely core to a company's strategy, is very core to the company's commercial proposition. So once you understand, once we understand that ESG is tied to what I am as a company, and that's different from you or from somebody else. Or, different firms have their views of what sustainability means to them, and they should have different views. So that is a profound mindset shift. So, for example, when you say the right thing to do, therefore, is not an end in itself, because that's not sustainable. This is not optional. It's not one fine day you wake up, you say, I want to be sustainable today. No, it has to be much more systematic, strategically ingrained into what you see as your commercial viability. Then that would mean is, if you're able to link ESG with the way your business model functions, with how you make money, then you would have better reputation, you would have higher market share, your employees would feel safe and professionally rewarded, and so on. And these are all ESG elements which have specific metrics associated with them. And therefore, that is how a company is able to become sustainable and is able to make more money that way. So in short, sustainability is not just about make money and do good, but make money by doing good. I'll stop here for a moment. There are many dimensions to this, which we will get into in the discussion later.
Thank you, Ms. Kalpana, Dr. Kalpana rather. Dr. Pradeep Panigrahi, would you have something to add on to this?
Absolutely. Thanks, Rima. Thanks, Kalpana. You see, today I think I was also discussing some time back, we need to stop talking and start delivering, right? We need to make clear-cut plans. We all know that ESG is important for businesses. We all know about the climate change issues. We all know about the resource scarcity issues and so many other things. We know the social issues. But what is important that today we must sit down and make a plan, deliver. And what is also interesting that I was looking at a Nielsen report, more and more millennials are interested in sustainable products. Their requirement for sustainable products and rather, in fact, they are also interested in sustainable processes. It's not about the product. So I think we, as responsible citizens, we as senior people, we need to make sure that those products are delivered to the people who really want it, and that is why you create the business value. Today, at L&T, our 37% of our businesses comes from sustainable business, or you can say green revenue. The companies in the world need to increase this more and more, right? So maybe what we have to do is to look at the right technologies, the right processes, right systems, and how to enable this green revenue to happen, and how you make a product which is actually sustainable. But again, I'll come back to another fundamental question is that how do you define a sustainable product? That's also very important, because then you cannot be making a product and say that my product is sustainable, but your supply chain is not sustainable. You cannot cannot be making a product and deliver it where your entire value chain is not sustainable. So what is important is that we need to look at everything in a 360-degree approach and deliver the product which is sustainable, and therefore, or thereby, you can increase consumption of more and more sustainable product. So, yeah, I mean, we have a lot of things to do. We have a lot of challenges ahead, but I think looking at the way we're approaching, especially in India, the way we are approaching, the way we are looking at the regulatory landscape, the way we are approaching the regulatory landscape, the way we are delivering, I think will take us there. So yeah, that's my thought as of now. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Panigrahi. So, as you rightly said, that millennials are more, up to and onwards towards sustainable products, and delivering becomes very crucial in today's date, because that's how brands are being approached. There are brands who are doing greenwashing, but there are also brands who are, up to for green messaging, and greenwashing is something which won't last for a very long time, because it will come out and you will lose the consumers. So coming on to that, how would Ms. Chanda, I would actually like to know this from you. Firstly, that how can companies influence consumer choices through product design and marketing strategies, like in order to create that long-lasting attention to sustainability, to cater to the needs, and also be in the minds of the people?
Thanks, Rima. Rima, before we go there, again, I'll come back to your previous question. There is something which we spoke about product. There is another part to it, is called services. Okay. Now we are in services industries. So if you look at people looking at services in a different aspect altogether, there are efficiencies which need to be brought in here. Now, how are we really looking into the services part of it? The codes that we write, we are seeing that what are the kind of optimizations, what are the kind of waste which is being saved. We're also looking at something called as green coding. Now, this green coding is what? You're really looking at a carbon index of that particular code. Okay, this is where the future of green IT is moving. I'm giving you one example. The same could be applicable to the various other verticals as well. We can get into it. But net, when we're speaking about the products, it's also the services, to see that how they are also realigning them in terms of when we're speaking about ESG very, very categorically. Now, coming back to this question, saying that what all we need to do specifically on the influencing the green products. The key point here would be, if you have to have green products, there have to be a strategy. We were speaking about, the life cycle assessment just some time back. Now, it's a process. It's a mechanism. There is a technology which is available. We are looking at what kind of material is being used in that particular product. Means if I have to look at, say, maybe it's a cooler, refrigerator cooler, what kind of product has, or what kind of raw material has gone into building that. So there is a full process of seeing that what are the efficiencies in the whole value chain that has made this product. When we are doing this, there is an opportunity for the manufacturer to see that what is to be replaced, or what could be much better, or an eco-friendly product than compared to what they're currently using as a raw material. Okay, under this process, when you reach to the consumers, they have started, and Dr. Panigrahi also touched upon the millennials. Okay. You have seen that change. Today, if you speak to the generation right now, saying that, would you see a sustainable product, or would you see a product where they are not eco-friendly, or there are issues around it. So, and I'm not saying it's only the environmental part. Dr. Kalpana would also agree that when we are speaking, and same Deepa as well, we were speaking about human rights. You would also want to see that while that product is maintained, there are also not violations around the human rights as well. So all these aspects in turn means that a consumer would want to go for this. There are tools now, you for eco-efficiency, you would also is an EPR tool. The laptops which we are using, I again mentioned it some time back, saying that we are using TCO. How does that really manage the caveats around what kind of efficiencies have brought in? But net, you will see that the consumer behavior is changing based on what are you really bringing into the market. There is something called as track and trace. So today, when you use your mobile phones, you can trace the product from where it came. Okay. And 90% of the people today, especially in the millennial group, they are doing that. That's a major change which organizations are bringing in.
Understood. So, Mr. Jairam, same goes for you. Like, how do you think companies can influence the consumer choices? And create marketing strategies in order to put front in the audience the millennials, the Gen Z, and now Gen Alpha coming up. So, how do you believe companies can contribute to that?
I think the companies have been pretty successful in in bringing out lifestyle changes and food choices for all of us, isn't it?
That's true. That's true.
So the question is whether they want to do it. It's not whether it can be done. So I think the main question is that when the companies can do a whole lot of lifestyle change and food consumption patterns and many other things for the people, it's possible. It's basically how they want. I mean, like Dr. Pradeep said about you do any survey, almost a majority of the consumers would say, yeah, they would like to buy sustainable products. Any survey. I mean, there is not even a single survey which says that it's not not that way, right? So you have people ready. You have people ready to buy. It depends upon how the companies want to do it, because it's basically a mind-shift change. Because I think it was post World War II when we wanted to keep our economy up. We moved into what we call as design for obsolescence. The fast fashion and changing our electronic goods every 2 years. These are designed. I mean, it is designed for obsolescence. It's not designed for sustainability, right? So the whole way of our economic process or our economic growth, or the so-called parameter which we monitor as the country's growth, which is GDP. I mean, the more you consume, the more you waste, your GDP will grow. So some of the things are very, very basic. I think it kind of has to be looked at a very, very policy level itself. And we need to kind of look at it as to how the whole of the design for obsolescence can change to design for sustainability. Yes, the technology can help. Like, for example, let's say we run a big engineering service practice, right? I mean, we help design many goods for the companies. I mean, their products are designed in our platform, and where we are now helping design for sustainability in the sense that we can do a complete. I mean, you take a refrigerator, just like Sandeep told. Take a refrigerator, you can create a digital twin of it, and you can look at what are the sustainable substitutes. You can do a complete LCA. You can find out what are the sustainability hotspots of each and every component. And then you can bring in substitute to the digital platform, and you can test all the physical properties which it's supposed to do and deliver. And then you can help the companies design their products more sustainably in a faster manner. I mean, in the earlier days when you didn't have the kind of technologies like digital twin, you have to test it every time. You have to bring it in. You have to physically do a prototyping and all those things. You don't have to do all those things now in a digital world. Things can be much faster, and you can do that. So that's one way. I mean, if there is a big push from the policy level, and the companies are willing to do it, yes, there is a way to do it. Now, on the policy level, I should also bring in the Government of India's LIFE program. And I think that's a very good initiative which has come in. And very recently, the ministry put out the green credits program, although I'm not a big fan of green credits, saying that if you save on something that is fungible against another pollution. No, I'm not a big fan of that. But having said that, the green credits program is open to every individual of this country. So as individuals, it is trying to kind of push the people to be more sustainable. And that's kind of a good program. And I would also like to say the role of media in this as well, because we are entering into the COP28, and there is a whole lot of talk around COP28. The biggest opportunity in this COP is this is the first stock-taking COP after the Paris Accord. In Paris, everybody came and agreed upon below 2 degrees. Of course, at Glasgow, we've said that it's 1.5 degree. But now this is the first stock-taking COP, and stock-taking means that they are collating what all each country has committed to and whether we are aligned to that pathway. The stock-taking report got published at the end of September. Not even a single mainstream media picked it up. See, the problem is that, and we are way off. We are way off. Every country's commitment, it is not tallying up to even 2 degrees. We are way off. But the key is that everybody has a role. The policies have a role, the industry has a role, the media has a role. And of course, as technology providers, we have a role to provide as well. But I think it's all there. It's just the willingness and the intent and the pace at which we have to move. That's the question.
I think sustainability is also one of the most important words that is being carried in today's world, because it has become so necessary to talk about it, to spread awareness about it, to be transparent about it, that people actually, I think, are taking up sustainability very seriously to have a safer future as well. So, talking about the importance of transparent communication, Ms. Nagraj, what do you think? How important? Because of course, the new generations coming up, people are also unaware of what sustainability is. Also, Dr. Kalpana actually mentioned that a lot of people confuse with CSR and ESG. They do confuse. They don't know what is what. So how important is transparent communication for corporates in order to spread the word, spread awareness, so that we can actually look forward to better and more responsible corporate scenario?
Thank you, Reema. And thanks everybody for your insights. I think every panel that I'm in, it's more educational for me as well, right? Hearing from everybody else who's a practitioner of this. So, Reema, you've spoken about 3 different things, right? I don't think the choice is ethical or sustainable. It has to be ethical and sustainable. And the second thing that you spoke about is, the choices that you make. And then comes the communication. Now, every organization, while they're striving to be a sustainable organization, when I say sustainable, is not just from an environment standpoint, right? How do I future-proof myself as an organization and make sure that I even exist, right? UN sets out the 30 plus parameters every year to say, based on these are your ESG goals. And if you look at the materiality assessment for each organization, the 30 plus parameters could have various different weightages for each organization, right? For some, data privacy could come top of the chart. For some, it could be waste management or water management, right? I think it starts with doing what is best suited for your organization's business strategy, not as a standalone just good to do, because that in itself is not going to be sustainable. Nobody is going to put money where there is no business value in it, right? And again, when you're coming to talking about it, okay, while organizations can say whatever they want to say, I think it's also a big responsibility for the end consumer, whichever bracket that you spoke about, right? Alpha to Boomer to Gen Z to whoever, should please go and do their own checks and balances around it. They have their own education. Now there's this big fad to say, I'm not going to use fossil fuel, I'm going to use lithium or EVs, right? Where are you sourcing lithium from? It is from the lithium triangle that uses more carbon and water to be able to source that, right? Now, everybody say, I'm going to use glass. I'm not going to use recycled plastic, right? If you look at the perfume industry in Europe, over 80% of all the bottles for the perfume industry is actually going from India. How much carbon footprint is that to send the bottle from India all the way through to Europe and then use that there? Is it easier for you to use recycled plastic then? Maybe. You know, the solar panels that you are using, right? There was this Australian company, which is a famous case study, right? Saying, I'm going to use all solar energy. They get these beautiful solar panels, put that all over. However, all of these are used by, are made using forced labor in northwest province of China. Is that something that you want happening? And my most favorite story is the Tomato Man. I don't know if you heard about the story. There's this guy who went to the market every morning, picked up all kinds of disfigured tomatoes, right? Put it all in a basket and said, these look the way they are because they're organic. And he marked it up 2x the price and had a fantastic business because nobody knows where you're sourcing it from. So it's not just larger organizations that have the responsibility to have transparent, open, ethical communication of the product or services. It starts at the grassroots level. But the commonality of everybody is the end consumer who is going to use it, right? To be able to take the educated choice to say, where is it coming from? And again, there could be technologies that can help. Blockchain can help when it is for a larger cause. For other ones, you can ask, where are you getting the tomatoes from? That make it look really organic versus otherwise, right? So it's one thing to have a communication about it. The other thing for each one of us to question what we're doing. At the end of the day, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. We all have great intentions, but please question, ask, is this the right thing for me to do? Where is it coming from? If they're saying this is organic, what does that mean for it to be organic? How do I check if it is really organic? How do I check if this is really helping reduce carbon footprint? Is this really helping the environment? Ask those questions. And you have to take the studied choice. Please don't just look at labels or fall for marketing gimmicks of anybody to say this is the most ethical or sustainable piece, right? Each one of us have our own responsibility to do our own homework here.
Absolutely, absolutely. Dr. Gupta, you have something to say on this?
Yes, I just heard lithium, so I couldn't stop myself. Yeah. So lithium, yeah, we Recycle Karo being first company to extract lithium, and so you all will be very surprised to know India, our requirement is close to 100 metric tons of lithium every per annum. Though we don't have cell manufacturers, the lithium ion cell manufacturers in India, but still we need, as a country, we need around 100 metric tons of lithium. So this lithium, what we extract, it comes from the waste. We recycle the lithium ion batteries, cell phone batteries, and we take out the lithium, and now we are supplying lithium which is made in India. So you can imagine the amount of transportation, the amount of carbon we as a company we save. So it was just, I heard about lithium and I wanted to
so the supply chain, it has a very sustainable process to it to make sure that the products and services are being coming out at a strong point.
supply chain, if you see what used to happen, this lithium ion batteries used to be crushed, and the black mass used to travel all the way from India to Japan or maybe China or Korea. They used to refine and they used to bring back into our country. So not no, what innovative recycle curve has done is now we are recycling lithium ion batteries in India, extracting lithium and supplying to the industry. So I think it's making a huge difference in terms of sustainability.
Absolutely, absolutely. Dr. Kalpana, yes.
Yes. I wanted to connect 2 points that you had made, Rima, and that is marketing strategies and transparent communication. So marketing strategies, just wanted to have a word of caution that if they're not clearly thought through and they're not honest, then they could lead directly to greenwashing allegations. So for example, let me give you specific examples. If you have a packaged food company, which is selling products either high in salt and or high in sugar, and if it is saying in its marketing strategy, hey, we're a healthy company, and they happen to be marketing those targeted, whether explicitly or a little bit covertly, to children, for example, adolescents and children, and they say very healthy food, and even parents think, hey, healthy food, buy them for the kids and so on. Nobody has time these days. Nobody has. That is just a matter of time before some good Samaritan or some NGO or some competitor, for their own reasons, say, look, you said it was a healthy food, but actually it is not. And these are not anecdotes. This happens all the time. One has to be so careful, even as thinking, informed adults. So this is squarely, it can go into a greenwashing allegation. And on the other hand, marketing strategies can also be a conduit to communicate very transparently to the market. If a company, once again, understands this is my business, I am a chemicals company, or I'm an EVs company, or an apparel company, very different companies, very different industries, very different sustainability flashpoints. But if you understand this is who I am, these are the risks associated with my industry. For example, chemicals, worker safety, very important. EVs, like Deepa mentioned, where are you sourcing your raw materials from? Very important. Apparel, who is working in your factories, your plants, right? From way back in your supply chain, and forced labor and so on. These are real issues, and they have become very, very well known globally, right? So if you say, this is the industry I am in, and I want to be leading the pack, and then you begin to quantitatively sort of identify specific metrics and say, okay, these are, I can not just, am I saying that my worker safety record is great? This is it. Here is the metric I'm tracking. And this is what I'm disclosing, whether it's in my sustainability report or to my regulator and so on. It's all very transparent. You could take a look. And then you build a marketing strategy around that these are substantiated claims. Never go out to the press or to have a marketing strategy or a communication strategy, never without substantiating. Because somebody will come knock on the door saying, you said that and you're doing this. And this day and age, don't even think about it. So just trying to say that marketing strategies can potentially be a very powerful and credible tool to communicate your ESG credentials.
Good. Okay, I think we have a lot of people with a lot of hands up. I see. Oh my God. Okay. So, okay, Deepa, you start. Like, let's just have a quick session because I think we're also a little on time now.
No, absolutely. And let me, based on what Kalpana just mentioned as well, right? ESG is far too important to be left to the ESG team in any organization. ESG is not a standalone. ESG is a horizontal that has to cut across every department, right? So if your marketing team is talking about it, ESG team should have a litmus test to say, is what they're saying factual, ethical, responsible? If you are sourcing new real estate, right, is the real estate strategy making sure that the building that is there is ESG compliant? You could have the carrot or the stick, right? LEED certification could be the carrot that you have, but the stick is actually, is it making it cooler during the day and warmer during the night? Therefore, I'm going to be saving so much money in my cooling, right? These are small little things that you do. Is my HR department's policies for human right protection, diversity, everything all right, right? Is my sourcing practice or my entire supply chain, is that looking at ESG, right? So the base of all of this is use ESG as a horizontal. It's almost like a string, and you can pearl everything onto this string, right? Don't leverage that as a separate standalone. Right? If there's one takeaway, it could be that. Thank you.
Got it. Mr. Chanda, you want to say, you want to add
Yeah.
to it?
Yeah, Rima, I'll just add the last point here. See, there are a number of disasters which we have looked over in last 1 decade. Okay, whether you name a bank or whether you name the infrastructure companies. So one is a marketing aspect. Yes, means they play a very major role. The transparency, Dr. Kalpana just mentioned about, very important. Deepa definitely mentioned about how the things have to be taken. But net, if it's a horizontal, it's going to make a lot of difference. It's like a company with ethics, a company which is going to be known for what they're really giving out to the customers. I'll just give you a simple example. Yesterday we were doing a case study, and in the case study there is this company, and they said their whole bottle is a very eco-friendly product oriented. They said everything, but in the end, the bottle cap was not eco-friendly made, and this was written just somewhere in the bottom, saying that everything is eco-friendly, but the cap. Okay, so and this whole brought a lot of agitations against this company, and same was they said this deals with the all animal related, it's very animal friendly and everything. But at the same point of time, there are where it is being sold in that particular country, you can't sell until there is a test which is done on the the animal part of it. So the whole marketing, Dr. Kalpana, what you said is absolutely right. Means it has to be imbibed together, and that is what is going to make a difference. And it's a responsibility, it's an ownership of the of us, the heads, to see that all of them imbibe together, and then it comes to the board level, where it is kind of who's the one person who's going to be responsible for overall what is being said in the public domain. Thanks, Reema.
That's true. Understood. So, Mr. Gupta, so with a company which actually talks, which is about recycling, it is said to be Recycle Karo. One very simple question or very interesting question that I would like to know from you is that what is the role of eco labels and certification in guiding consumer choices today? Because of course, consumers are attracted. They would like to see a proof, as everything is there on the internet as well. People can find it. Dr. Kalpana, Mr. Sandeep also rightly said that they are there. They know. I mean, it can go to greenwashing, but it will get caught at the end of the day. So the strategies also have to be made in a way that is very, on it, which is there to the people. The generation is extremely woke. So what do you think is the role of the eco labels and certification? Because consumers at the end of the day, they know what is happening. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. Thank you, Reema. So we as a company, Recycle Karo, we are directly interacting with the industry, with the people. So I see lots of consumer behavioral change in the industry. If you see, just for an instance, we used to have collection drives for as a part of our CSR, as a part of our initiatives, in-house initiatives. We used to have lots of collection drives for electronic waste since the company was started. I'm talking about since 2010. So before we used to receive very few electronic waste, very few. But now recently, from 3-4 years, we see lots of people participating in the collection drives, and almost on our office line we receive at least 30-40 calls every day. The people wants to know about recycling. They wants to know how do we recycle, and if they want to take part in our initiatives, or if they want to dispose their waste. You will be surprised, there are people who travel for 20 or 30 kilometers just to bring in their waste to our facility, to our warehouse. So I see there's lots of people who are interested to dispose of their waste, who understand the critical aspects. If it is not disposed of, if it is just thrown out in the bins, what environmental challenges it's going to make. So I think people are now they are more educated, and they are more responsible, I would say. So I clearly see this and also government is also very supportive. There are two new laws government has brought in. Electronic waste management law, which they have amended just recently, which is very favorable. I mean, which will make recycling more sustainable, and people industries to take part very responsibly. And there were some loopholes. Now it is avoided in the new rules. And as I was already talking about lithium-ion batteries, EVs coming up in a big way. EVs coming in, and you can imagine the amount of waste EVs coming up in the future. So government has brought in a new rule which is called batteries management rule. So I think overall, all this scenario will help us in creating a new world for all of us.
True. So there are a lot of opportunities that we can witness in the coming future. Great. So on the concluding note, since our topic for the panel was role of corporate sustainability in shaping consumer behavior, everything goes around the consumer. What consumers, as the saying goes, what God proposes, man disposes. But similarly, over here, what the consumer proposes, the brand proposes. So, coming on to that, any concluding thoughts? We would love to have like a, one line or a very short, brief concluding point on how the role of corporate sustainability will shape consumer behavior in the next, probably say, a year. So, I would like to start with Dr. Panigrahi for your quick statements on that.
Absolutely. So, Rima, I think we all are change agents, and we just have to play our roles, and just to understand every aspects, connect the dots, and deliver the right products with the right process. And as Santosh was mentioning, or Sandeep, about using the life cycle assessment tools, and so many other tools are available, but we have to use them judiciously and rightly, properly, and deliver the right products. There is a market out there, right? So I think we just have to get our acts together. That's it. I mean, there is no, and I don't want to say anything further, because today everything is ripe. The policies are ripe, the system process, everything is ripe, and we just have to work on it. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Jairam, any concluding thoughts?
Rima, can I ask you as to, do you know what is the symbol of eco-labeling in India?
That's unfortunate, but I really don't know.
So you are not a minority, you are part of the majority. And
that's saddening. That's truly saddening.
That's an earthen pot. Okay. India has a scheme for eco-labeling for more than 2 decades. It is applicable to many products. And now the government the draft is coming out for the labeling of sustainable products as well. But I am a little worried because what you had for so many years, nobody knew. And, I'll give one more example and then I will keep quiet. 3 years back, I bought a kurta for my father on a Diwali. And when I went to that e-portal, when I bought it for 800 odd rupees, it said how much of that money would go to the tailor. And so there was a transparency in terms of how the costing and how the money would go to the people. That e-portal is not there anymore. I think it's a matter of scale over here. I think the problem is that there is interest all over the place. I think the matter is that how do we cross the tipping point? And that tipping point, I will go back to what I said, will happen only when all the ecosystem players work together to do that. I'll stop there.
Awareness should be the first step. Like, as you said, it's actually saddening that even I don't know that, but awareness is the first step. I should be knowing that. So thank you for bringing that up, though. Deepa, any last thoughts?
Yeah, I think ESG right now, if you're a listed company, there is BRSR you have to do. SEBI has those 9 principles that they've launched. Clients are asking for EcoVadis, investors are asking for S&P, Dow Jones Sustainability Index. It becomes a race to be able to get your rankings, ratings, numbers in play that kind of shows where you are, right? That is one aspect of it. And the other aspect of it is doing it because you want to do it, right? It's the right thing to do. And it has to be both a bottoms up as well as a top down approach. Getting the board to sign off on it and having every investor buy in on this is very important. And like you rightly said at the beginning of this entire panel, ESG is not CSR. CSR is easier because you're mandated, you have the 2% mandate, so it actually has a rich, deep pocket, right? However, ESG is very expensive to implement. The minute you're able to educate people on why, the how becomes easier, right? So always start with why you have to do it, and then everything else will fall in place.
Lovely. Mr. Gupta, I think he is not available. Okay. So, Mr. Chanda, sorry. Yes. Any last thoughts?
So, Reema, I think so we spoke a lot, and I'll again go back to Dr. Panikri's key message saying that enough of talking, let's get into action. That is one part. Second part is there's a new mantra, there's a new thought process called eco-design. Okay, we are looking into every aspect of a product, that how best you can design it in a way. Santosh also spoke about it very clearly, that how technology is playing a very major role. So technology plus the rest of the verticals can really bring in a lot of impact on specifically the designing of the products in an eco-friendly way.
Correct. Understood. Mr. Gupta, any last concluding thoughts?
Yeah. I think the manufacturers of electronics waste, because since I'm linked to electronic waste and lithium-ion batteries, I will talk about. So this manufacturers, for example, Samsung, LG, they should ensure that whatever product is used in their products, whatever metals they use or whatever, even if it is a plastic, it has to have a good recycling rate. That is very important. So I think we should encourage in communicating with the brands, and also government, if they can involve themselves and they can communicate with the brands, and the recycled metals, because when we recycle metal, it has a purity level of 99% or maybe 99.5%. It is not 100% pure. So there must be any initiative said that there should be a law where our recycled product should become part of the product. For example, Apple has done a very interesting thing. Now they call their case, which is titanium being it is recycled, made out of recycled electronic waste. So I think such initiatives are more required for us to be more sustainable.
Lovely. So, Dr. Kalpana Sitapalli, we started the panel with you, and we would definitely like to conclude the panel with you. Any last thoughts from you?
Thank you so much, Reema. Last thought is disclosure, disclosure, disclosure. When corporates are able to substantiate their ESG claims, consumers have all the reason in the world to go and buy those products. And that's how they expand the footprint of their market share as well as the footprint of their ESG impact. So once again, disclose, substantiate what you're saying you'll do, and consumers will come and purchase the products, and that's how you change consumer behavior as well.
Lovely. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for such an insightful session. I also learned a lot from it, to be very honest on that front. Thank you so much for your time. And Priyanshi, I'll hand over the time to you.
Thank you so much, Priyanshi and Avantika and Reema, just everybody. I wanted to say a quick thank you to all of you, of course, and please do circulate the coordinates of all of us here, because we'd love, including yourselves, of course, because we'd love to stay in touch and just engage, because this will become a small community of people that we can brainstorm with as time goes by. Yeah. Thank you so much. I'll have to drop right now to join another call, but it's been lovely interacting with all of you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Kalpana. Thank you for being there, and we'll share the coordinates definitely.
Thank you so much. Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye. A heartfelt thanks to all our esteemed panelists for sharing their views on how the corporate sustainability can shape consumer behavior. Now, before we proceed to our next panel, I would like to share a short video with our speakers and our audience on how the BW family is making small changes in their daily lives and adopting a sustainable lifestyle.
Hello everyone, I am Arjun Yadav, Senior Correspondent with BW Business World. We are thrilled to have you join us today for our newest communities launch, the BW Sustainability World, which will look at the entire gamut of the business of sustainability in India and the world, what corporates are doing to reduce their carbon footprint, and what trajectory will India's net zero journey takes as it targets 2070. At BW Business World, the employees ensure that they follow some actions listed under Mission Life in their daily lives. For example, I commute via my own vehicle due to lack of proper last mile connectivity at my origin destination, but I ensure turning off the engine at the red light or when anticipating prolonged idle state. The air conditioner is set at 24 degrees and the clutch is not used as a footrest while driving. Remember, we're all in this together. Every effort counts as we strive to create a sustainable future. I wish you all happy reading and hope that BW Sustainability World will fulfill your quest for knowledge for everything in the world of sustainability.
My name is Arvinder Narula, and one of the initiatives that I've taken on towards sustainability is to ensure that no part of water is wasted. At home, we are using a RO system, and in that the process is such that there's a lot of wastage of water. We were not even aware of where the water was going. But for the last few years, I started collecting all the water that goes as a waste from the RO system, and that same water is used for watering the plants as well as cleaning utensils. That's a small bit as a contribution towards ensuring sustainability at my place.
So what do I do around sustainability? Never thought of it as sustainability, but thought of it as trying to save the planet in small ways. I try and not change the glass in which I drink water for as long as I can, which means maybe 4 hours, 5 hours. We don't use plastic bags at home for at least 10 years. I try and do carpooling wherever possible instead of taking multiple cars to the same place. So these are little things that I've been doing for years to try and keep the planet sustainable and for it to last for long. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Prabha Shukla, and some of my sustainable choices are: I usually use bicycle or go on foot if I have to go nearby places or sometimes farther places. I generally use public transport, and also I generally carry a jute bag with me, so I have to avoid poly bags. And if I have to purchase them, I usually try to recycle them or reuse them. So these are some of my sustainable choices. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I am Priyanshi Khandelwal. A few small initiatives that I have been taking towards a sustainable future is by replacing my regular plastic toothbrush with a bamboo toothbrush. I am also trying to shift towards using cruelty-free products. We are really excited to begin our workshop program today. We request all our audiences to engage on our social media platforms by commenting their initiatives that they have been taking in their daily lives. We look forward to the session and engaging with you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Rajni Pradhan. I believe sustainability is a conscious choice that we have to make every day. So for that, I have a lot of plants at home. And at the same time, I take care of the plants that's there in the society complex. I also use public transport as much as I can, use metros and the local train of Mumbai. And so that's my contribution. Thank you so much.
About sustainability in the long run, there are various ways by which we can definitely work towards building a sustainable environment. For example, we do carpooling every time me or my spouse or me and my nearest family relatives have to travel to work. We try and ensure that we are carpooling, and we have already opted for a cleaner source of transportation, that is CNG. Apart from that, we have already put our ACs as well as our television on sleep mode. Every time we fall asleep, our TVs automatically detect or our ACs automatically detect that no one is awake or there's inactivity, so it automatically switches off. So there are smaller ways by which we can definitely preserve our environment and look for a sustainable future for our future generation. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ved Shukla. My small contribution to the sustainability is that ever since the single-use plastic was banned, I had stopped taking any goods from any shopkeeper in plastics, and I have started using a jute bag, which I always take to the grocery shop. So that is what I have been able to do. Thank you.
I use this bin where I keep all the flowers that we use for puja and also the kitchen waste. So this is basically a compost bin I've made so that the kitchen waste does not go waste. And it is more sustainable. It will convert into compost which we use in the plants.
Thank you so much, Avantika. Now, moving on to the next panel, I would like to introduce the topic, which is empowering consumer for sustainable living. I am pleased to invite Ms. Shilpa Sri Muniswamappa, Director ESG and Communications, Colgate-Palmolive, Dr. Sameer Joshi, Vice Chairman, Indian Plastic Institute, and Dr. Anand Achari, Principal, Vivekananda Education Society's College of Architecture. Moderating this session would be Avantika Mohan, Community Lead, PW Sustainability World.
Thank you, Priyanshi. Our panel discussion revolves around the theme of empowering consumers for a sustainable living. Today, we will delve into various aspects of this crucial topic. We will explore the power of consumer education and awareness in fostering sustainable choices, share what psychological factors come into play that influence consumers' decisions, highlight some of the remarkable role of grassroots movements, and discuss some innovative digital tools and applications that we think can guide us on our journey towards sustainability. I'm sure we will hear some inspiring stories of consumer-driven change, illustrating a profound impact on one person or one community, which can make in building a more sustainable future. With that, I come to my first question for our esteemed panelists, and that is, in a world filled with information and disinformation, how can we effectively educate our consumers about the environmental and social impact of their choices? And what are some of the innovative approaches or success stories in this regard that you might have come across in your journey so far? Dr. Sameer Joshi, we'd go with you first in this.
Thank you for having me. In this world of information, there is explosion of information, and you really don't know what to rely on and what to believe and what not to believe in. But the simplest things, we go back to the beginning. The stars, the cricketers, they try the right message. And in the digital world, when the WhatsApp forwards are that, we have so many of WhatsApp forwards, so something happens and we see many forwards and new cartoons or new videos done. So what about environment? Environment is something that it belongs to you and me, and also it is a part of our important ecosystem. At the grassroots level, in the villages, you remember in the olden eras, there used to be the drum beating and announcements. But now it has taken change in the form of Pathanatya, street plays, street shows. And also about the awareness of the young millennials.
Dr. Joshi, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can, sir.
I will stop my video so that the bandwidth is more there. You remember the social media, the power of the social media. And during COVID, how all the information was transmitted through the electronic media and the social media. The impact of simple things, simple messages, the street plays, that is what is going to drive this moment. And also the fact that the young kids in the nursery and the children, if they are taught simple things, not to litter, they are the future citizens of India. That is how we work at the grassroots level.
That is absolutely
Over to
true,
you.
sir. That is absolutely true, sir. And I believe if we start educating the generations right from the foundation level, that will really help us in the future times. Shilpa ma'am, I would now like to come to you, and I would want to know what do you think about consumer education and awareness in driving a sustainable future?
Thanks, Avantika. Firstly, I'd like to thank Business World, you, for being persistent on this topic and reaching out to all of us and putting us together. I think on this topic, I'd like to say one thing. Research studies recently show that a lot of youngsters are probably more open to looking at sustainable and organic solutions. They seem to be ones who will adapt it faster. But there's also another survey and a study done globally, and I want you guys to go take a look. It's called the say-do gap. Meaning, people say, I'm okay to pay a high price for something that's organic, sustainable. But do they really go ahead and buy? They don't. That's the truth. And India today sits at, and it's the truth across the globe. It's not just India, okay? So there is a huge gap. I think India, just about 18-20% people actually will go ahead and buy. And also the sustenance, like say, for example, picking up organic food or, staying away from plastic once is not enough. It actually has to be a routine. most people don't follow it. They start it, they drop off. So, but I think like what Dr. Joshi said, there's a role that media can play. There's a role that companies can play. See if you can start young with kids. I mean, I don't know how many of you remember the time when we were in school. At least I remember when my brother, who's 7 years younger than me, was in school, and then one day he came back and said, "You know what? I'm not going to this Deepavali. I'm not going to burst crackers." It was only because they made him take one pledge in school, and a pinky swear or something like that is very important at that age. So teach them the right things, imbibe it. I think that's a good age to catch them young, try and make them feel conscious. But there's also a responsibility for us as a society and also as companies. Actually, people say plastic is bad. It's actually not bad. Huh? There are advantages of plastic. Recyclability is the challenge over there. If you were to do that, it's equally good, because when you're looking at using, say, some other product as compared to plastic, the greenhouse emissions that the other products actually leave is less than, and plastic is probably cheaper at this point in time. Recyclability is the challenge on plastic. So I think that's what we need to sort. So catch them young, try and see how corporations can come together to look at ways of, one is of course, like I said, don't allow it to go to landfill, try and do sorting, coaching. And also what Dr. Joshi said, I think while probably our rural areas lead a much more sustainable life, whether it's food, whether it's living, whether it's housing, all kinds, as compared to us in the urban areas. But there's also, because today there's so much of urbanization at their end, we need to start coaching them on, something even as basic as sorting. What do you do with dry waste? What do you do with waste? They probably are better than us in certain things. So there's learnings on both ends, but try and see if there's something that they can, and if there are good things at their end, don't pollute them. Let them continue with those pieces. Whether it was using cow dung to ensure that, you don't have to use mosquito repellents and stuff like that, whatever it is. I think don't push the urbanized, because I think most of us corporations also want to sell our products everywhere. So we kind of, we've made strategies just for rural to kind of dump things over there. I think so that's one conscious thing, but media can use and catch them young. I think children, the youth, and also the fact that you have to decide how much you will commit from your pocket on these things, because none of these come cheap. They all come with a particular cost actually. So I leave it at that.
Thank you, Shilpa ma'am, for your views on that. Dr. Achari, we will now come to you and try and understand what role does education play in creating that consumer awareness for sustainable goods and products.
Hello. Can you hear? Okay.
Yes, sir, we can,
Yes.
sir. Thank you.
I'm just having a little internet issue. Here, my viewpoint and take is about whether sustainability is a choice to be given or not. Is it today's and future's option? Should it be taken as a need for the future? Should it be made a mandatory? Sustainability is not just about a product, as I earlier said. It's not about a particular thing or anything. It is right from individuals to as a country. So you have a micro level of looking at things, you have a macro level at looking at things. And when I look at it from the micro level and I move towards the macro, it's about the lifestyle. How do I live? Am I living a sustainable lifestyle? Am I making sure that whatever I am consuming are actually sustainable? Forget about going to the products also, to the level even to the level where am I living in an urban setup, in an urban world, in an urban city? Where do the vegetables grow which they come from? If I am still procuring, sitting in Mumbai, the tomatoes have to come from some other state. Is that a country's policy? There are various ways to deal it. And as earlier Madam said, it comes with a cost. But when we are talking about the 2-degree issue, should that be a choice or not? That at a policy level and at a decision countries level needs to be taken. Now, when I'm going from a micro individual to a city, is my city sustainable? Am I surviving or living in a city which is in a more sustainable living lifestyle? Are the transport systems sustainable? Are the infrastructure sustainable? The house in you live, is it a sustainable household? The best part today means earlier it used to be traditional. It is a more modern jargon which has become from traditional to sustainable, because yes, moment you say to the youngster with the young generation, you tell yoga, they will run away. Moment you say a gym, they will adapt it. So it is a changed way and a perception. It comes with a pros and cons. To a large level, a traditional and cultural methods which are deep-rooted, they come from much more deeper thinking, they are sustainable. Right from the toothbrush as example mentioned to a city level. We have great examples at a country where we have sustainable villages which are self-sufficient, they are working on. We need to develop countries, cities and urban towns, and the country move towards this. And if you give that as an option, or it is part of ESG or CSR, that's not going to work. As earlier, again, I agree 100% with Shilpashree Madam when she said, sir, right time, education plays the biggest role, sensitizing the young generation, young minds to think from that. Today, it has become a brand jargon to be used by corporates. That's not the way it should be. It should be deep-rooted. As I earlier again said, it has to be bottom-up and top-down. The bottom-up where the citizen needs to be told about it. Citizen needs to be made aware and sensitized. Today, if I talk from my perspective as a profession in architecture, my consumer who are going to stay or buy that house which I'm going to design, they are not aware of what a sustainable house is like. They don't know what a eco-friendly house is like. But today, the market, which is a developer, he will build a green building just to do, not to be sensitizing the situation, but to get certain incentives back in the market. My building will go faster in construction. I will get high FSI, high FAR. So the society is surviving in dual role, where a carrot and stick both needs to be there, where an emotional value is there to it, where you connect to a situation where you are deep-rooted to your tradition, plus a stick which works with rules, regulations, and this. So the policy of right from a village to a city to a town or a state or a country needs to be very clear that there has to be a carrot and a stick to make the country and an individual move towards this sustainable lifestyle and make every city, town, village self-sufficient, self-dependent, not to interdepend on various outdoor requirements. that's the way we will have to move, and education is the only way where we will have to play a very strong role, where this should not be a choice given, it should be made mandatory. And why should there be a two product? Why should there be a organic versus inorganic, or a market? Why cannot our entire agricultural system move into an organic way? Why should there be a choice? If we know organic is good and it is sustainable, but today organic has become a business strategy and a branding, where organic will be sold 10 to 20% more costlier than the regular. It is technically proven fact, scientifically written, that a organic food will be cheaper to produce and can be produced and be provided at the less cost. But it's not happening. The society, the market, the media, the industry, everyone needs to question this issue. And why is organic costlier than the regular food? I have no understanding on that issue, because I myself go and see how there are organic farms where the production rate has grown 8 times, 5 times, and they are less dependent on chemicals and others. So the whole way of how a sustainable lifestyle or a sustainable living needs to be re-looked at it, and we need to go back to our grassroots.
Thank you, Dr. Achari, for pointing that out, that a lot of times when we talk about sustainable products or sustainable goods and services, the general consumer perception is that it's a costly alternative. It's not something which is easily accessible for the masses. And that's why people hesitate in adopting those kind of products. And somewhere or the other, the companies are kind of using that as an advantage, and they are delving into greenwashing activities at times. So I think we've touched base upon greenwashing in our previous panel also, but I would also ask my panelists over here on how can we make consumers more aware of these greenwashing practices and help them make the right choice. Shilpa ma'am, we would like to start with you on this.
Thanks, Avantika. I think consumers firstly need to start getting aware of the companies that they buy from, right? I think, well, we do have ads. I myself work for a company which heavily, depends on marketing and invests into marketing. But people need to be aware about what is it that, and I don't think it's possible for every brand that you're using, because at least for the large ones where you're investing more, know what it is that the company is doing. I would say even the whole make in India, for India kind of bit, right? Because I work for a multinational, but we are more Indian than many Indian companies for that matter, right? Generating jobs, doing things, building supply chains in India, ensuring that everything is done in India and probably even exporting to the world. Try and see if you can kind of, buy from companies like that. I think some of us still have the fad of saying, oh, I want to buy something that's from outside the country, which, I mean, it's okay for your social status, but you got to think about the long run. Next is even for companies, I think, and what Professor Achari said is very true. And I want to come to this point saying that you need to make good products affordable. Then you will have people buying it in mass. The moment you make it niche, the moment you make it inaccessible, okay, you will never get scale. People will never get access. People will always think this is not for me, it's for another class. I will not even think about it. People will not adapt. So if you don't push for adaptation, and adaptation will happen, India is a price sensitive market, let's face it, right? We tried hybrid cars, didn't work. We're now trying electric, will probably be a little more better. Wherever companies need, one is of course to be able to say, I'm going to absorb costs, and I'm going to see that I give value to my customers. Next is if they think, no, our manufacturing costs are high, go to the government, no? Try and work out a PPP model. Try and see what is it that the government can give you in terms of incentives. But make it, like I said, make it more mass. Any product, whether I'm talking FMCG, whether I'm talking cars, only then adaptation will happen towards the rights, you know. And I think we should kind of stop aping the West or even the East for that matter. I think as a country, we have much more progress today. Our consumers are much more informed as compared to probably, you know, we've seen the pitfalls that the West is seeing on various splits. We're seeing that, you know, East has its own challenges. So I think just standing by what we are as a country, what we are propagating, like whether he spoke about yoga and gym, whether we talk about Ragi versus something else. What is it that we can bring value? What does that get us respect? I think one. And for consumers to start, see, we're all social beings. We all get influenced with people around us, right? We want to show off. All of us want to get down from a high-end car. We want to live in the tallest high-rises, etc. All that is okay, but you should know where you need to invest, what you need to do the right thing, because tomorrow, of course, a lot of people today will question, "Arey, main to bacha hi nahi bana raha hu yaar. So whom am I going to leave stuff for?" Right? But then there's the larger population as well. India is a large market. We're a huge mass. So what you do as choices personally and even professionally, like I say, I always tell people also this. A lot of people have asked me sometimes, and I'm guessing everybody on this panel as well. Even the companies when you associate, when you work with, right? You should take pride in the fact that you work for products and for companies that are making a positive impact on both nature and your country. That's pride, I think. And I've seen that with people who work, I've always worked with mobility companies. So my parents have always been very proud about the fact that, she's worked for companies that have kind of changed the scape for the country. We're very proud of it. So, all products have to survive, but I think those are personal choices that we can make as value systems. Pick the products, pick the right kind of companies you want to get associated with, work for the right kind of companies, see who's actually focusing on giving back to the community, who's looking on their ESG pieces, whether it's water, energy, who's making progress, and just not talking for the sake of talking and releasing annual reports for the sake of it. I think we need to get conscious a little more about, start reading up about companies that you're associating yourselves with, and probably you'll learn better and you'll be able to make better choices.
Thank you so much, Shilpa ma'am. And I concur on that thought that I think as individuals, there's a lot that we can do. We can influence a lot of people around us, the communities that we're a part of. Dr. Joshi, I would like to know your thoughts on how can we protect the consumers from greenwashing practices that the companies, the corporates are adopting today.
I have a new word to submit here. It's dark greenwashing. Things have gone to such a level. I come from the plastic background. I'll tell you a simple example of sustainability and alternative to plastics. There are a lot of things, compostable, biodegradable, and such words we have heard. But what is the real thing, that is worse at things, you cannot just compost and compostable and biodegradable plastics in the normal way. They have to be done under industrial conditions. That is, you cannot compose them at home. So this is the greenwashing which is being done by companies, and the consumer is not aware. He thinks that he is using the compostable plastic and he is doing sustainable work, but that is not the case. So it is again, educating the consumer well, and the awareness in the western part of our world, the Europe and the Americas, is much. Unfortunately, in India, the awareness is not so much.
Dr. Joshi, you're not audible. I'm really very sorry about that.
Go back again when sustainability is a choice. But when we talk of sustainability, it comes at a cost. And you cannot talk of sustainability on an empty stomach. What I mean by that,
I think he has network issues.
Yes, ma'am. I think that's the problem. Dr. Joshi, what we'll do is, if you can hear me, then we'll come back to you in a short while. Dr.
Can you hear me?
Achari,
Can you hear me now?
yes, we can, sir.
So, unless sustainability cannot be done on an empty stomach. We can talk of sustainability when the stomach is full. It comes at a cost. And the consumer, no doubt I said, people are going towards sustainable products and all this, but the commitment is there. But, how to go away from the products which are not really sustainable or we are being greenwashed. That is very important. And the commitment, I'll give you one more example. Well, like what Madam was saying, I had been to Denmark recently, and kids of 14 to 15 years who are just around 10 standard or so, they are talking there of we do not want to buy new clothes. Can you imagine a child of a 10th standard, he wants a mobile phone, he wants new clothes, but the system is imbibed in that child from the education that he's saying that he or she is saying that if I buy more clothes, if I buy, they are not sustainable. I will need more water to wash. So that is going back to the education. And it all bogs down to the education of the consumer to make the right choice, and the companies which are making those products to inform the consumer of what is wrong and what is right. That is the way ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Joshi. Dr. Achari, we now come to you with your views on this question. And we actually started this conversation with you. So I want to know, like, as a principal of an educational institute, how do you think we can educate our consumers better?
I think Dr. Samir Joshi sir gave a wonderful example. That is where it starts from, the roots. And I give you a simple example, and probably with a question to think on. If I give you a house you have to procure, and this has been practiced as an example from Europe also, which I'm talking about, which in India has started star labeling of even buildings, which earlier we were discussing, on not only of building of a product only, but also of buildings, where I say you're buying a 5-star house or renting a 5-star house, and it will be 100 rupees per square foot example, or some 100 rupees as a number, versus a 3-star where you will pay 150 rupees. But why would you pay 100 rupees for or a larger for this thing, or a 5-star house? Because it has been star labeled for a particular way of usage of energy, water, certain systems. And that is how, if I'm going for a 5-star, I am sure my electricity bills will be lower. And suppose simple shower. Now there are available shower products which says in the end of it, it simple gives you a message, you consume 10 liters of water. Then if you're making continuously working on the psychological part, mind of the person, and putting it that you're consuming water, you have reduced it. Oh, then that small intuitive mind will start working. Oh, I saved 1 liter more than yesterday. Okay, so there are hotels you go, you have been given. So you need to tweak, and it is that old wine in the new bottle is the new generation. Okay, so if I tell you that why do I need to throw that shirt out after 1 year of usage? And I need to not to buy that new shirt because it will consume, is a different way of looking at things, rather than saying, what has happened to this shirt? This is good enough. It's okay. It will last its own life another 5 years or 10 years. Today, the products are being designed that it will be thrown out of 1 year. That's the consumer world, where the word itself has come, the consumerism, that you start consuming more. that the shirt has to be thrown after 1 year. So there is a negative cycle where even the system you're into. So how will you stop working if the corporate market, product companies, all these people, the system says, no, we will have to build it sustainable. It has to longer. If I promote the same shirt, this will last 10 years, nothing will happen. Today, no one will buy. That is where Joshi sir said, today the child is educated so that if you buy a new shirt, it will require more water. Rather than, so there is this old wine in new bottle thinking where rather than saying it is no need to throw, but this life cycle assessment thinking needs to be brought into the picture. Basically, it is life cycle is not just a calculator or a method, but it is a way of thinking that what happens. Questioning abilities of the generations are changing. They are dependent on probably product reviews rather than self-analyzing. From the college perspective also, I am seeing today education system has been seeing that institutes are, oh, Google rating is better, so I will choose this college. Rather than questioning it, whether it teaches well, it gives me good education. That's the students, how things are going. So what we try to do instill in our education system, which is very different, where our vision and mission is based on sustainable human habitat. How can the future architects of our college be part of this a larger gamut and say that I am capable to design and build and promote this sustainable human habitat as a country's perspective, and sensitize them that simple thinking when you design a window. Our old windows used to have a ventilator on top. The construction industry said, oh, it is so difficult nowadays to stand on a stool, close the ventilator, it collects dust. So remove them, make it sliding, full length. But we forgot that that small ventilator on top, when you keep it open upside, it removes the foul air which goes up and the hot air, and it removes and keeps the home cool. So the fan is throwing the foul and hot air back onto your body. So you're changing the way a good way of living it should be. This needs to be sensitized to the students. We participate in, so I'm just giving you one small example, but climate responsive design. If I am today, do the building in BKC and a building in Singapore look alike? Yes. Should that be? No. But sensitizing architects that the local climate is very different and your building needs to be responding to the local climate. There is no need certain times to go for air conditioning. When the weather is beautiful, when the microclimate with dense vegetation is there, you don't need air conditioning. But today, right from your house to the transport system where you travel, can I even tell you the size of the air conditioning is equivalent to release of an atom bomb, which would be that amount of heat it would release. So it is taking out the heat and throwing into the environment. If I am talking about sustainability, living and talk from an air-conditioned room, is it really sustainable way of having? I would say having a conference on a Zoom meet than attending a sustainability conference would be much better. Here, sitting on a Zoom, we have saved that many carbon credits or carbon through travel modes. So making people sensitize at the education is very important, and schooling is more important. Right schooling, right education system, not just building on commercial brands.
Thank you, sir. Shilpa ma'am, I would actually come with my next question to you, and I would like you to share your thoughts. We know that communities and the grassroots level movements, they play a vital role in promoting sustainable living. So, how can these movements actually tackle the psychological factors that influence the consumer decisions, and how can we use them to nudge the individuals towards more sustainable choices? And if you could share some examples from Colgate, that would be really good for us.
So I'm not a huge fan of activism, okay? But I think when people come together, they can actually achieve great things. So I'll give you an example. There are two ways of looking at how grassroots level change can actually happen. Most of us as corporates or a lot of companies, and I think even at panchayat levels, there's what's called self-help groups, right? Some are led by women, some by men, various facets of life people are actually focusing on. I think that kind of activism, positive activism of self-help groups coming together. Today, I think they're coming together to learn about how they can become better financially, digitally, right? I think another facet that we could add as part of their education, as part of making them self-sustaining, is the fact that what are the right things for them, as a community as well in the future? What is it that they should actually talk to? And we've all realized that there's always this one set of people who will set examples and influence the rest of them in their communities. I think that's where we need to focus on. And rather than picking up and saying, oh, this is negative, look at the positive sides. See, when you're doing, we do a lot of work around Udaipur, now in Maharashtra as well, where we work with self-help groups. And I wouldn't say we're actually pushing our narrative on sustainability there, except for, we're trying to see if we could help them in waste management. Okay, we're trying to see if we could help them in, see, most of our factories, like, Professor Acharya was saying, we want to be LEED Star, we want to get, Star Energy certifications, we want to have the best of, like water positive plants, etc. But we always forget the immediate surroundings that we operate, right? I think that's where the focus should be. Try and help those people also understand that, if we are giving back from our plants as well, if we utilize water, but we're also giving it back. We're doing solar. Why is it? Try and help them, coach them on whether it's rainwater harvesting, what is it that they can do for their own. Like, I can tell you an example of what we've done in Udaipur, right? We work with an NGO called Seva Mandir there, and we've been there for about 4 or 5 years now. We've actually helped. I mean, our perception of Rajasthan is that, oh, it's dry, what will you do? But frankly, Rajasthan is also a destination wedding place, right? Now, I think for the longest of times, or for a lot of, like, I don't know if it was Professor Acharya or the other gentleman, people would get in flowers from other states, right? I mean, because it's wedding season and flowers last only for a day, the way you put it under lights and stuff like that. What we did is we have self-help groups there, and mostly women-driven. We've looked at water tables. We actually have helped them in doing multi-cropping in a year. So these people have, I think their incomes anywhere between, say, 3,000-5,000 has now increased to, and I'm saying monthly, so they do floriculture when it is wedding season and florals, etc. They actually do multi-cropping when it comes to, the vegetables that they're growing, etc. And there are people who have moved up to like 50,000-70,000, but on an average, at about at least 30,000 is what they're getting out of the same piece of land that they used to get, say, 3,000 or 5,000 in the past. So what you're teaching them is self-sustenance. What you're teaching them is to also look at what is it that they can actually mine as a business opportunity in their own area, right? I think that's giving them longevity. So also stop the whole flux of people moving from rural to urban in search of something that's probably that they will never get. Okay, you want them to stay there, grow there, and agri is not easy. Yeah? Let me tell you, it is not really easy. And a lot of people have this thing saying that it's only for the people who have the money or who know technology and stuff like that. But I think there are some good practices, and I think we should all take it upon us to build these communities that are there. And I would say that is grassroots level sustainable living for them, business opportunities for them, employment, give them digital literacy, see that they are, everybody in India, everybody in India has a smartphone. If you be on YouTubes and you can watch videos and you can, do your reels, you can as well do educative stuff as well. I think that's where we should kind of help them. And self-help groups, I think, are, like I said, not activism, but very positive way of looking at how, they can lead a life and how they can give back to their communities.
Thank you so much, Shilpa ma'am. And with that, I actually come to my last question for this panel. And I would like to start with Dr. Samir Joshi. Sir, we know that technology has given consumers access to numerous applications and platforms. And as Shilpa ma'am just mentioned, that we can use these platforms to educate our consumers and our audiences. I would request you to highlight a few innovative solutions that stand out and probably discuss the potential of technology to drive a sustainable behavioral change on a larger scale.
Thank you for this question. I would like to, say that I work with a startup and they are named Recycle, RECYKAL, and they have done a nice project in Uttarakhand. Even they have made the gods happy. They in Uttarakhand at Gangotri, Yamunotri, and the holy places. At one place they have practiced what is called a deposit return scheme. For the bottle which you there is only one way. It's a Kedarnath. There is one approach road to the temple, and before you enter that village, they take a deposit of 10 rupees for the bottle. And if that bottle is returned back, you get the 10 rupees. So this is how the mindset change and the use of digital technology. They have a QR code, and and they have also QR codes given to the tourists, that is the team organizers, and that is how they are collecting back the plastic and not letting it go into the environment. The consumers are also, the consumer behavior changed and the collection of bottles increased. So this is how the technology we've seen at the ground level, and all sorts of consumers or devotees come there, but they are imbibing a new culture, and that is how the technology and the grassroots level are working towards a sustainable solution to plastic pollution.
Thank you, Samir, sir. And I've also come across this organization and I have heard about their Kedarnath initiative. Thank you for sharing that on the platform with us. With that, we'll close the panel. And before we do that, I would request our panelists to give a certain word of advice for our audiences and the other people who are watching this live otherwise on our platforms. Some advice on how we can adopt a more sustainable lifestyle and adopt these small changes in our daily lives and make a huge impact through it. We'll start with Professor Achari, and we'll just take about 20 to 30 seconds and we'll close this panel, right?
Yeah. Just a minute, just getting connected again. If you're able to hear me through the second instrument I've connected, yeah.
Yeah, we can, sir.
Yeah. A simple example I will like to use. There is a concept called Enviro Art. Enviro Art is a simple concept where you sensitize an individual who would go through an environmental method. Suppose you have say example, you might have come across a jogging track, and which just a jogging track.
Yeah, a jogging track where there would be some cycles, and which has a gym, which has people would go in the morning and gym. And when you go and gym continuously, There are these cycle tracks, dynamo connected to generating power supply. And this can be fed to the probably a simple street light which is connected to it and which has a battery. And people are continuously given certain numbers. You generated so many kilowatts of power. It's a environmental awareness methods. Simple water fountain in a small area where the water is being used from a septic tank or a STP plant. You don't need to hide the system. You need to make it transparent, make it fluid, open, and show people that this water is coming from this parcel and make them aware that it is a recycled water. Earlier, madam talked about rainwater harvesting systems. We hide the pipes of the whole rainwater harvesting, but we make it transparent, and when people go and walk there, they are sensitized, see how water is traveling, make them show the path, the way water is carrying, and then they see continuously. When you see things, you understand it better and you become sensitive slowly towards it. But when we hide things, because many things we have started living in the world where we hide things and only make things look good. So that sensitization is disappeared. So we need to develop, adapt a lot of enviro art methods around in public areas, in your workspaces or in schools where students, officers, or even the public entertainment areas, they are able to take this learnings from there. So it is about sensitizing the human mind towards way of thinking, basically.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Dr. Joshi, we'll go ahead with you next. We'll hear your certain sustainable choices that you would like to advise to the consumers and to our audiences.
25 seconds you said. Rethink, relearn, redo, revisit, reduce, recycle, and make sustainability sustainable. That is the mindset first. And, action begins with me and ends with me. Choices are there, making the right choice and walking the talk. And as said, continuing it, for we are just the custodians of this earth. We will leave the planet better for our future children. They will have the best of technology, but if they do not have good air and good water, what is the use? And is that sustainability? Is that sustainability? Ask, and it begins and ends with me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Shilpa ma'am, we come to you, and with that we'll close our panel now.
Dr. Joshi stole both those pointers that I wanted to say on reuse, recycle, and the fact that it starts with me. I think also what some of us can actually do is to try and see how we can promote sustainability in some way by rewarding people we see around us doing it, whether it's people who are young, people who are old. I mean, it could be monetarily, it could be in some other means. I think we need to reward people who actually follow, so that, you can actually promote and make them the role models for others to kind of look up to. I think, we're too focused on penalizing stuff. I think we start rewarding people around us. And like I said, some of us who are on this panel are probably slightly more better off than a lot of other people. So if we can kind of help those people who are actually trying to make a positive impact, I think that's what we can give. And otherwise, then the other 2 points that Dr. Joshi said, and I think what Professor Acharya also said, is about start with us, try and see what we can do best, even in a small way. And of course, recycle, reuse, try and see what it is. I mean, and a lot of times, say, for example, you don't want to keep that sari of yours for many years because you said, but it has value for somebody else. Don't hold it in your house and, get mousse on it or whatever you call it, fungus on it. Give it to somebody who will reuse it. It can be their best piece of clothing if it may not be for you. I think that's where we should start moving towards.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And I think we've had a super eclectic panel on consumer choices and how we can empower our consumers to adopt a more sustainable lifestyle. So I thank each and every one of you for taking out the time for being here at our launch event. We, with this panel, with the conclusion of this panel, we actually formally launch our BW Sustainability Community We are available at bwsustainabilityworld.com. It's a platform where we share initiatives from the different corporations, the government initiatives, also certain updates about the COP28 and certain global initiatives also, which in some or the other way we can adopt. So I would request all of you to go and visit our website. And we would also request you to share your sustainable practices, certain choices that you adopt in your daily lives in our on our social media platforms. We will soon launch our video over there, these BW Families video, and you can comment below that video on what are the different sustainable choices that you adopt. We look forward to all those comments from our panelists, from our consumers, from our readers, from our audiences. Thank you so much for taking out the time and being here today with us at BW Business World.
Thank you, Avantika.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.